Bom dia, boa tarde, boa noite, or whatever the case may be. My name is Marcus, and I am the host of the Black Brazil Today YouTube channel, as well as the blackbraziltoday.com blog, where I analyze Brazil from the perspective of race. So today I wanted to take on a topic that has been more and more intriguing to me over the last couple of months. I'd say maybe let's go 4 to 6 months now. And I said, as I've said, there's a lot of topics that I've been wanting to move into and expand some of the conversations and the topics that I cover on this blog. And you'll see why if you keep following the videos that I will be creating over the next couple of months. Today's story is a post that I put up a few days ago that's called The Black Man and the Myth of Male Privilege. Now, there have been a number of articles that I've been wanting to discuss over this period. Let me just go into a couple of things that I've noticed over the years in dealing with Brazil in comparison to the situation in the United States when it concerns people of African descent. What I noticed on both sides is that when it comes to social movements, civil rights movements, equality movements, or whatever they may be, there's always a dominant discourse or narrative that seems to get the message out to just millions of people about a given topic, whereas the other side will be kind of just dismissed, doesn't get as much coverage. And so in this manner, if one perspective dominates the other, it's like for a public that may not have a lot of information on the topic itself, they could get fooled or pulled into the rhetoric that's being, spread by the dominant side. I've seen too many examples of this, over the years, and what I'll call my own political awakening. I've had to learn, unlearn, and then learn again. I remember it must have been 1995. There was a John Singleton movie called Higher Learning, and at the end of that film, after everything had happened, the word unlearn flashed across the screen, and that's something that struck me all of these years, because whether the topic is the situation of Black people around the world, or the topic is religion, or the topic is, who is it that's at the top that controls so many facets of our lives? Whether we talk about assassinations, we talk about, what people will call conspiracy theories. Once you open up that door, depending on how deep you dig, you'll come to the conclusion that there are often more than one side of the story. You have the side that is divulged on every media outlet that you can think of, and this message is divulged every day. It's like they want to control the way that you think. Then when you get enough of that, or if you start feeling like something is not quite right and you start digging in other directions, you come to find that a lot of the things that you were taught about a given situations just simply don't add up. This is something that, has affected me for a number of years, because no matter what topic that I research, it's like there's the what they tell you in the media. Then there's the truth, or better yet, let's not even say that just the truth, because it's going to be up to the person to decide which side of the coin they actually believe. So this has applied to so many different areas just in the last 25 to 30 years of my own research. I'm like, wow, I often look at big news headlines and the narrative that's being spread by the media is the one that wins out, regardless of whether it's true or not. I grew up in an era where we kept encyclopedias in the house. And so as I was a person who always liked to read, I would frequently go through my encyclopedias for whatever given topic that I was interested in at the time. Now, what strikes me years later, it would go all the way back to the 90s and the early 2000s, is that I just come to discover, I'm like, wow, after I discover the truth about a given incident, I go back to those old encyclopedias and I'm like, wow, these encyclopedias repeated the same lie that was propagated on television. So I was like, okay, what are you supposed to believe when just something in your mind goes off and says this is not necessarily how something happened, or this isn't necessarily true? When you find out that famous assassinations that we may know about didn't happen the way that the media reported it, whether we be talking about politicians or entertainers or athletes, whoever they might be. There's often the story that the media tells us, and then there's the other side that goes a little bit deeper and exposes that, well, what the media is telling you is not necessarily so. In the movie The Matrix, which a lot of people talk about the whole symbolism of this red pill versus blue pill perspective, that explains a lot. It's like, okay, you could take this blue pill and keep seeing the world the way that you see it, or you could take this red pill and it's going to completely change your perspective, your ability to be able to pick up on things that other people may not be able to, being able to see things from different angles, be able to break down deception. I know I'm going in a lot of circles right now, but what I'm getting to is that in so many things that I uncover just in the last 2 to 3 decades, I come to find out, wow, this is the story that was told, and then this is what really happened. I've always been the type of person like, well, can we really get to the bottom of something if we're not willing to look at both sides of the coin? There's what I see in the United States today, and I saw it in Brazil also, are highly divided nations between, you have the political left and the political right. Like, which side do you stand on? Years ago, I would have said I was just a pure leftist. But year after year, decade after decade, what I'm finding is that, well, things are not always what they seem. So I find myself moving my politics a little bit more to the center and getting away from the leftist train. And there's just too many reasons that I could go into. Some of these things I'm going to talk about in future videos, future blog posts. And today's topic is one of them that I felt the need to address. This is just like the first one of many articles that I'm going to want to get into, because this discussion is going on online right now, in places like YouTube or wherever. And I wanted to understand how this stuff is playing out in Brazil, because that's been my whole focus for the last 2 decades. But the difference of what I'm talking about now is that it was the racial discussion that brought me into looking into Brazil, 20, 22 years ago. Whereas now I'm looking at a number of other topics, right? And because Black Brazilians are part of Brazil and part of the Brazilian population, this actually affects Black Brazilians as well. So I want to look and see, well, what are some of these things that are being said, particularly out of the political left of the spectrum? What's true? What's not true? What is mythology? What things are presented in front of us as if it's just clear fact when it's not actually fact? So this is what I wanted to get into today. This is going to be the first of a number of articles that I'm going to be getting more into in the coming months. Hope you feel connected enough to some of this material that you'll keep coming back and checking out some of these videos, because I'm intrigued by them, and I'm quite sure you will be. So let's get into this piece today. And, as time goes on, you're going to see more and more of how the articles that I put together are going to be one big puzzle. And once I tackle one topic and move into another one and into another one, it's like, okay, now all of this stuff is starting to make sense. So the Black man and the myth of male privilege. Just wondering what you think when you just hear the title of this article, first of all. So let's just go ahead and get into it. This typical photo you'll find here, something like this. Well, I mean, what do you notice in this picture? There's a number of things that catch my eye. Of course, there's a Black man being, harassed and, subdued by police. But what you also should notice here is that it seems like both of these two police officers here seem to be black. And then in today's era of social networks, you see somebody filming the whole scenery. Um, the murder, the assassinations, and just what seems to be an agenda for the extermination of black males has been something that's been going on in Brazil for years. I haven't gotten into it yet in the videos, but this is obviously going to be a topic that I'm going to have to discuss uh, definitely more in depth in future videos, because again, as I'm putting this puzzle together, I have to put together little pieces at a time. So